The more you keep your body peeing, pooping, and perspiring, call it the 3 Ps, the more you continue to do that, the faster your cleanse will be, the better it will be. And so as you're clearing everything out, you want to make sure you're opening everything up as well.
You're listening to the Digest This podcast, and I'm your host, Bethany Cameron. If you suffer with brain fog, GI issues, constipation, diarrhea, fatigue, weight gain or weight loss, heightened anxiety, skin issues, being hungry or feeling unsatisfied after a meal all the time, these are just a few symptoms from parasites. And if you haven't guessed already, that is what we're talking about in today's episode. I have Kim Rogers on with me today, aka the Worm Queen, and she shares her story of how she found out she had parasites and literally was on her deathbed where her husband had to quit his job and be her caretaker. They were prepared to lose her. And thankfully, she is here today sharing about this and how she regained her health through a parasite cleanse. And she created this herself. And we talk about how you can get tested if you think you may have a parasite. That way you kind of have a good direction. We talk about what parasites may look like so you can identify them if you do think you have them. I mean, we go real deep in the different protocols, ways you can get parasites, and it's not just through what you eat. It can be just different things that you do, which is crazy. We also talk about what foods you should stay away from, different things, again, just to help cleanse your body and support. And I think this is a very long awaited interview, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear. Please stay till the very end, because this is not just a doom and gloom. Everyone has parasites, you're ill, all of that. This is a very empowering episode where Kim gives you the tools and the knowledge to know what to do next. And there's really a lot of hope in this interview. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, Kim, you are known as the Worm Queen. You are, I don't want to say parasite queen, but you're the Worm Queen.
Yes.
And there's a reason why you say worm instead of parasites. And we can get into that too, because I feel like it's been censored a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start out, as always, with some rapid fire yes or no questions at the beginning. And you can only answer yes or no to these questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, rapid fire question number 1. Can you only get parasites from food?
No.
Do we all have parasites?
It's a yes and no, like 95%. I'm sorry.
Okay. Do we pass parasites regularly and just not know it?
Yes.
Are worms the same thing as parasites?
No.
Ooh. Okay, and last question. Are mushrooms helpful or harmful when it comes to parasites?
Helpful.
Just like calcium, the majority of magnesium is found in our bones. 50 to 60% of magnesium is present in the bones, and most of the rest of it is in the soft tissue. So our bones really need magnesium. But it doesn't stop there. One of the primary functions of magnesium is that we need it to make proteins in our body. Whatever kind of protein you're taking, you need magnesium to process it. And the kind that I always recommend is from Bioptimizers, and it's called Magnesium Breakthrough. It has all 7 forms of magnesium. Different types of magnesium serve for different functions in the body. And sadly, a lot of magnesium supplements on the market only provide you with 2 to 3 types of magnesium. So go to bioptimizers.com/digest and use code DIGEST at checkout, and you'll get a special offer. And they have a 365-day money-back guarantee, which means you can try Magnesium Breakthrough for an entire year risk-free. If you're not satisfied, they will give you your money back. Again, that's bioptimizers.com/digest and use code DIGEST. A few weeks ago, we got not one, but two puppies within 24 hours of each other. So our home went from a zero pet house to a puppy filled environment, and we immediately started searching for the best dog food to feed our furry friends. That's when I found Ollie. Ollie delivers clean, fresh nutrition in 5 drool-worthy flavors, even for the pickiest eaters. Made in USA kitchens with high-quality, human-grade ingredients. Ollie's food contains no fillers, no preservatives, just real food. So how does it work? You fill out Ollie's 30-second quiz, and they'll create a customized meal plan based on your pup's weight, activity level, and other health info. Ollie offers 3 meal plans to choose from, so you can choose between a full fresh plan, fresh topper plan, or a mixed plan with their freshly baked recipes for your special furry baby. They also have treats and supplements. Dogs deserve the best, and that means fresh, healthy food. Head to ollie.com/digest. Tell them all about your dog and use code DIGEST to get a whopping 60% off your welcome kit when you subscribe today. Plus, they offer a happiness guarantee on the first box. So if you're not completely satisfied, you'll get your money back. That's ollie.com/digest and enter code DIGEST to get 60% off your first box. All right, Kim. So why don't you introduce yourself, tell my listeners who you are, what you do, and share a little bit about your own experience with parasites.
So my name is Kim, and I'm known as the Worm Queen. I was crowned Worm Queen in 2021 after I went viral on TikTok talking about a parasite cleanse, and like 1 million people watched the video in 2 hours, and I gained like 200,000 followers overnight. I mean, it was just pretty crazy. And so I saw this niche and I saw this area that I could help people because I also struggled with parasites, not knowing that that was one of my root causes. So I started doing videos talking about it because I come from Western medicine. I have 2 healthcare degrees and I ran 25 healthcare colleges. I used to write curriculum for academia and authored medical books. And I just really love the human body. So my own health journey took me basically out of society, and my husband and I went to our recreational property to build a log home and to try and heal me. And in that process, I found out I had parasites, and then I just shared it with the world on TikTok on a video in July of 2021, and I have actually done this every day since. I have not taken a day off.
Wow,
I started a
amazing.
company over it. That's where Parafy came in because I just couldn't get really like the assistance that is out, that there's just nothing really out there, honestly, to get assistance.
So what is the definition of a parasite?
A parasite is anything that lives off a host, and the Latin definition is any unwanted dinner guest. But
Okay.
there's a difference between worms and parasites. So parasites can be protozoas, which is crypto, which is what I had, Giardia and defragiles, which are microscopic. You can't see them when you're passing them. And then nematodes are physical worms, which are roundworm, flukes, tapeworms. I mean, fluke's kind of its own world, but roundworm, tapeworm, pinworm, flatworm, whipworms, those are nematodes.
Hookworms? What about?
Hookworms, yeah, those are physical. And then you have like scabies and lice. Those are parasites as well because they live off you. Candida is a parasite, which is an overgrowth of yeast,
Mhm.
and that lives off of you as well. So that's its own world.
Okay.
Yeah.
So interesting because, yeah, not a lot of people think of Candida as a parasite,
Yep.
but it is living off of you, I guess.
Yes.
So I guess the whole broad spectrum of parasite, and then there's those subcategories like worms versus the different types of microscopic things like
Mhm.
um, what were you saying? What's a microscopic example?
Giardia, defragiles, and Cryptosporidium parvium. So most people know what Giardia is specifically because it's in the water. They have you boil your water, and that's what they're afraid of when you're told to boil your water is that you have Giardia in the
Okay.
water system.
What about mold? Is that a parasite then? or
I
no?
mean, it kind of is, but they don't classify it
They
as that.
don't
But it does
classify it?
live off you. It's really rough. I also had mold poisoning, and I definitely want to talk about that in this podcast
Yeah.
because I don't really talk about it a whole lot, and I'm still actually fighting mold poisoning,
Mhm.
and it can take years. I'm in my second year of it, and it really is detrimental to the body. It really
Mm.
can wreak some serious havoc that if it starts to colonize even more in your body and you don't know it, and you're parasite cleansing and you're doing all the cleanses, it's kind of suppressing it, making you feel better, and then you have to pivot to a mold cleanse. So
Mm.
they really do also go hand in hand with a lot of us chronically ill people because of Lyme too, you know?
Well, yeah, and you had mentioned too, there's not a lot of medical help
Hmm.
for parasites. And is it because the medical field, they don't actually want you to know that parasites are a quote real thing and that's why they censor you? Or why isn't there a lot of help?
I feel like it's a combination of they don't have that knowledge. We weren't taught in college. We were indoctrinated to think that a first world country like ours, Western medicine countries are considered first world countries, that there's no way we could have parasites in a first world country. There's no way it could be in our water, which it was in my water at our log home. And so they just don't have that knowledge. I know a lot of people do feel that it could be something like they're hiding it from us. It's possible. Anything's possible, right? In the day
Mhm.
and age we're in now, that they don't want to admit that the water is contaminated, even though it really is. And they don't want to have to try and find a solution, or maybe they don't have a solution. But from my personal point of view, is I've written academia to teach people, and I did leave it out. It was in maybe 2 minutes of whatever I would talk about because I wasn't taught this. And so I also was like the subject matter expert when I would write books. And so if I felt like something should be removed out of a book, it got removed out of a book. And then that means I kind of changed the trajectory of history or the future
Mm.
because I changed a little bit of history, right? And so I feel like it's just kind of gotten out of control and they don't really know how to rein it in. They don't have good testing. And that's a really big issue here. We don't have good parasite testing. We don't have good mold testing. And so, in order to have good testing, you have to have education behind that. And I think that we're just in this series of snowball effect, right? Where how do we start? Where do we start with this? And that's kind of where I come in.
Okay, so speaking of testing, are there tests to be like, yes, you have a parasite, or no, you have like to rule it out, or no? Is there not like a black and white?
There are some independent labs, like who I went through, where they send my stool to Mexico because there's not really great testing here in the United States. If you want your insurance to cover it, I'm going to just say this out loud. You won't get good testing here under your own
Mm.
insurance. Western medicine doesn't have good testing. They can send it to LabCorp, but I've trained LabCorp technicians, so I'm very aware of the series of events that you have to go through when you're testing your stool. I also got mine tested and it came back negative through LabCorp. The same stool went to Mexico and came back positive.
So
So,
you did two
yeah,
tests and it came from the same stool?
yes,
Okay, obviously you did that on purpose because you wanted
yes,
because you can't do the same stool twice.
right.
So, okay. So, first of all, can you share a little bit more about your experience? Because I did a little bit of research here
Hmm.
and I kind of know your story, and it's kind of mind boggling because you detected it like yourself, even when Western medicine, Western doctors were like, no, it's not. Can you share a
Correct.
little bit about that?
Yeah. So in 2019, my husband and I went to our property because I was declining rapidly. I had stage 4 endometriosis. I had a hysterectomy when I was 29, and I'm 46 years old. So I went around 20 years with not knowing what was wrong with me. And I had life altering surgeries. I had 13 of them, and they still could not get my health under control. So in 2019, I had my last surgery. It was not very successful. I still was in a lot of pain in my abdominal area where my endo usually was. And I had 5 surgeries before my hysterectomy and 5 surgeries after my hysterectomy. I should not have been producing endometriosis at this point. Like, A&P clearly states I should not be, but because it was all over my body is what they thought, it was like just redeveloping itself all over. So my husband quit his job and became my caretaker. I quit my jobs and we went out to our property for me to die. And we were pretty good with it. You know, we were doing the best we could because I was so sick. And around 2020, by 2019 to 2020, I started looking into mushrooms and getting off my big pharma medications and really like figuring out what was truly wrong with me because they wanted to give me another diagnosis of Parkinson's. So I started looking at different side effects of the Klonopin I was on, and I started just really dig really deep. And I did a lot of meditation. I did a lot of mushrooms to help me kind of turn inward and figure it out. So around March of 2021, I was at a little bit better health level because the mushrooms had been giving me nutrients. And at this time, I was off my Klonopin and almost all of my big pharma medications. So I was at least able to kind of reconnect with my soul and really figure out what else could be going on with me. And I was scrolling on TikTok. I usually scroll with purpose. And I had a small TikTok account. It was around 10,000 followers because I was teaching people how to grow mushrooms. And I was building my log home when I could with my husband. So I came across this gal's TikTok and she said she almost unalived herself over worms. And I paused for a moment and I thought, well, about 5 years ago, I thought that I had pinworms. My doctors all said I was crazy and that that wasn't possible. And so I just kind of brushed it off. And so I purchased what she was talking about, and it was a parasite cleanse, just a cleanse, not a binder, not a candida cleanse, just literally one tincture, or it was pills. I took the pills at the time. And I did it. And within 3 days, my pain was gone. I saw a roundworm, pinworms, flukes in the toilet. And I was like a whole different person within 3 days. It was pretty mind boggling. And then I just started digging in from there.
Then you just went down that rabbit hole,
I
and
went down the wormhole.
The wormhole. There you go. And I'm so glad you did. I want to get into so many things. I want to get into symptoms that you had. I want to get into what symptoms people could look for if they think they are experiencing some parasite stuff. I mean, could you eat at the time? Was it hard to eat?
Yeah. I had not gone to the bathroom for like 30 days. And that was really concerning, obviously. And that's kind of what made me turn to mushrooms because sometimes when you take certain mushrooms, they release that. And so you have to be conscientious sometimes when you're taking mushrooms because they will release that. And I thought, well, if my husband grows some mushrooms for me and then I go poop, at least I'll have like a possibly a life altering event, right? Because I'm on a trip
Yeah.
and then I'm going to go to the bathroom at the same time. So what do I have to lose? And I've done mushrooms before. Um, so that was one of the big ones, my constipation. And when I would eat, I would bloat. And so I didn't really eat, but I was really heavy. I was like almost 100 pounds more than I am today.
Wow.
And no matter what I did, no matter what I was going through, I couldn't lose weight. I couldn't really eat. And I couldn't go to the bathroom. And those are huge red flags. If you're having problems, those are really big red flags that you could have a parasite.
You bring up a good point because I think a lot of people, I think it goes both end of the spectrum as far as weight gain or weight loss. If you have a parasite, you can lose weight very rapidly, which was in my case. I had some parasites along with other multiple things happening at once. But you can also gain weight from it. So it could be either or.
Right. And that's because they're stealing your nutrients. So they can take up to 90% of your nutrients and leave you with 10%, not just nutrients, supplements, medications. So if you are not giving the nutrients to the organs that it needs, it will hold on to what it can. Your body will hold on in a fight or flight response,
Mhm.
right? And so a lot of people can lose weight and get real skinny. And then a lot of people gain weight or they just can't lose any weight. And I mean, I ballooned above like 265. So I really could not get it under control. You had a
Yeah. Oh,
parasite, you said.
I did. I was dealing with like, gosh, 5 or 6 different things at once, like candida, yeast overgrowth, colitis, gastroparesis, and parasites. And I know it was parasites because I want to talk about what parasites look like so
Okay.
people can maybe identify. But I think I saw some liver flukes in the toilet. I took photos. But there was this one time I was doing an enema because I couldn't pass my stool. So I would literally, there was one time I think I counted, I did 30 enemas in one day because the
Wow.
pain was so bad. And this is the weird part. Within the 30 enemas I did in that day, that was like the top, but then I would do more on, different days. Every time a bunch of stuff would come out. And it wasn't like fecal matter. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It was like,
Yep.
I'm like, how am I releasing all this stuff? Like, this isn't stuff I ate. And it was so weird to me that I was seeing all this stuff. But there was this one time, and I still have the photo till this day, is I took the enema cord out and almost immediately a worm came out. Like
Wow.
it followed the cord, and it was like, I mean, I know you guys can't see, but it was a good like foot long, 12-inch thing. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So all that to say is, what do worms and parasites look like if we can see them with the naked eye? Because I know we can't with many as well.
Well, I do have a 600-page identification parasite ebook that's free. That's you can email us or you can go to my link tree and download it because this exact question, and I've gotten probably 20,000 pictures in the last 4 years of people's parasites from their
So
stool.
these are actual real photos, they're not
Mhm.
drawings.
Right. They're real photos, and most of them are from our Parafy kit. So I take everybody's picture. I'll identify it for you if I can, just to give you a peace of mind. And so everything we do, just so everyone that's listening knows, everything but my kit is free. If you send us an email, we will look at it and I take the time to go through a chat that I have with my team. We have over 30 members of our team that help me on social media as well as make the tinctures because we make our own products. And I have fast track guides, drainage guides. I'm finishing up a mold guide. So everything I do is completely free because I really want society to fully understand that this is a problem and things like you're saying are 100% true. Flukes are very easy to get if you eat seafood. They go in your liver. They can cause fatty liver. They can cause stagnation. They look like a peel of a tomato.
Yes,
Yep.
those were flukes that I
Skin.
saw in the toilet.
Yes, 100%. They come in an abundance. They multiply
Yes.
really fast. And pinworms are very much the same. I call them lice of the butt because you can transfer them to each other. They're easily catchable and they live in your appendix and they can survive for decades. So
Oh.
it's really fascinating to me that like they can just live in the human body the way they do, but it's really sad at the same time because we should know this. Other countries know this. Other countries know this is a thing when they eat fish or they eat questionably or they eat raw produce that hasn't been prepared properly, like soaked correctly, that has
Mhm.
parasites on it.
Okay, so
So yeah,
that's another question is, I mean, you're like hitting all the points that I like want to talk about, but what are ways we get parasites? Because I think most people think, oh, it's from uncooked food or eating
right.
sushi, but there's so many other ways we can get them.
If you have pets, I'm going to just put that one out there too. If you have pets, you have to deworm yourself and you have to deworm your pet. They're walking on the dirt, they're licking their self, they're eating other dogs' poo when they're out. They are really prone to have parasites and they're licking you and they're laying in bed with you. And I had dogs and I caught the same parasite as my dog. So
How
I
often should we deworm them?
Well, you can do it monthly with something like Safeguard. It's like a powder that you put in their food.
Okay. And how
And
do we deworm ourselves?
well, for what I do, I recommend using the Parafy kit because it has 3 tinctures and the binder. I have instructions. I tell you exactly how to parasite cleanse. And we are all natural, organic. We soak our own, we make our own. So it's not in a lab. And that makes a difference because the way we soak our herbs and the way we process the tinctures, it's a lot of herbs and it's a lot and powerful, but it's very gentle because of the way I designed it. It has like support as well as detox avenues. And a lot of people will go into a parasite cleanse with just kill, kill, kill in their mind. Like, I got to get rid of them, but you're not supporting organs. And you have to, especially the liver. I don't really know many people that haven't had liver flukes. And when they're swimming basically in and out of your liver, they're creating micro tears. And so you have to be able to support your liver and help your liver detox as well as liver health, right? So people just go into these parasite cleanses with no knowledge. And I realized that when I was cleansing myself, because I went into it with no knowledge, I didn't know what a binder was. I come from Western medicine. Western medicine uses charcoal when someone has overdosed or has alcohol poisoning, not a microdose of it, to help bind toxins and remove them. So I had them coming out of my skin. I had them coming out of my urine. I had them
Wait,
coming
you
out of
had
my
parasites
parasites.
coming out of your
Yes,
skin.
because I wasn't binding and I wasn't supporting.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I also want to I want to go back to like other ways we can get parasites, but since we're on this also like cleanse topic here,
Yeah.
um what are there any obviously there's benefit to a parasite cleanse, but are there any
Mhm.
downsides to a parasite cleanse? Like, can you do it too fast, too much? You know what I mean? Is it like too intense?
It definitely can be intense. You just have to do it slowly if you want to. You can go into it and then slow down. And that's what's great about tinctures because you can take the 15 drops 3 times a day, like we instruct. But if you feel like it's too much, you can go to 1 time a day. You can go to 2 times a day. You can go to 10 drops. When you take pills, you can't adjust.
Mhm.
And they get in and they kind of fight within your um digestion, right? They fight within your gut. With a tincture, it's absorbed directly into your bloodstream, immediately bio ready. So it kind of does do a little bit of an adjustment when you're doing pills versus the tinctures.
I'm seeing all over Instagram influencers post about how they are stopping Botox and fillers due to the side effects they are having. And I am so thankful I have never once opted to get injections of any kind. However, I still want younger looking skin without the needle and injecting my face with toxins that stay in your body for years and paralyze your muscles. So that's why I am so excited to share about Timeline Nutrition's night cream. This is a product powered by MitoPure, which has been clinically proven to re-energize cells. It's actually been demonstrated that when applied topically, Timeline's breakthrough highly pure urolithin A ingredient supports cellular renewal from within the skin cells for youthful looking skin. This intensely nourishing cream melts into skin and works to seal in moisture while helping to strengthen the skin barrier, increase firmness and elasticity, reduce appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, and improve appearance of tone and texture. 87% of users agreed their skin looked visibly firmer and more lifted. And it's suitable for all skin types, including sensitive skin like mine. Timeline is offering my listeners 10% off your first order of their night cream. Just go to timeline.com/digest. That's timeline.com/digest. How long, when would someone expect to be cleared from parasites, or when's the first time you should see a parasite come in the toilet once starting the cleanse?
Not everyone's going to see physical worms in the toilet. It really is based upon how you're feeling. So, a lot of people will have less inflammation, their bloating will go down, they'll be able to eat and not get bloated. So, that's what you want to gauge it on versus seeing. We get this all day where it's like, I haven't seen anything. And you might not. Like, I don't see anything now, but it's like you might not. And so, I feel like usually within the first few days of doing a parasite cleanse, you start to feel like, oh my gosh, this was really what was wrong with me. This is really what was going on with me. And then our cleanse is 30 days, and you can do back to back. You can go 30 days, wait 7, go back on it for 30 days. Some cleanses are 90 days. Some practitioners put you on for 18 months. I feel like medical freedom is the most important part here for this because we don't really have like real guidelines to go on. So if you're feeling better, take a break, do it again in a few months. If you start to feel bad again, continue. And so a lot of people will do their 30 days, they'll feel really good. And then a couple weeks later, they'll feel bad and they'll get back on it. I did that specifically because it sounds like a lot when you're like, you have to do it for 90 days, you have to do it for 3 months. It feels like a lot, and then people don't finish. And then they kind of made themselves worse if they're not following some sort of a protocol.
Okay. Within the protocol, are there certain foods that we should avoid when doing a parasite cleanse?
Well, definitely you want to avoid fish.
Raw sushi, like even cooked fish?
So if you're gonna eat fish, you just really need to make sure it's cooked really good. And I make fun of salmon all day long, and it's my favorite food, and I just even cooked. I just can't eat it because
No, I've
oh,
never had sushi before in my entire life.
really?
Yes, I want to say, yeah, I don't think I ever have. And it's because it grosses me out to eat
Mhm.
raw fish. My husband, he's a fisherman, so he loves sushi. So whenever we go out, like he's ordering the quality sushi, but still I'm just like, no, I want my cooked chicken, like teriyaki, whatever. Um, but okay, so besides the fish,
Mhm.
anything else we should avoid?
You definitely want to not eat sugar. Right now, I have a cookbook on my website, but I've done a lot of research personally for my own diet because I have mold, Lyme, and parasites. And so I've done my own research on what's going to be best. Right now, I have the Candida diet as the cookbook, and the Candida diet is the strictest: no meat, no sugar, no carbs, no alcohol. But I have found over the last few years that that's very difficult when you're cleansing. And so I've done a lot of research with other doctors that treat patients like me. And they were like, if you can find grass fed, grass finished, organic, very clean meat, then you need to add that back into your diet. And so with the Candida diet, you're starving the Candida. With a parasite cleanse, you're starving them, but you don't always have to starve yourself. There really is two different diets when it comes to the Candida diet and when it comes to the parasite diet. But I haven't had a lot of time, and we're finishing up that cookbook now. And so I actually talk about it more than I say, hey, go grab that cookbook. But you can add, if you want to get that cookbook, just add in the meat, right? That
Okay.
is good. So it
What about
really,
eggs?
I eat eggs on every day. And so I eat the cleanest eggs I can possibly eat.
Cooked, obviously. Do you do
Yes.
the runny yolks or no?
No, no, I don't do anything raw. I don't even eat raw produce when I'm out. I eat raw produce at my house only because it is one of the biggest ways for you to get parasites when you're in other countries. And it's not just because of it being raw, it's also how they prepare it. And if they're using contaminated water like I was in our log home when we were building at our log home, I was using the contaminated water to clean my produce, thinking I was doing everything right.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. Is that I think
Mhm.
even, a lot of people they don't have a like a home water filter. Maybe they have the home water, like the drinking water.
Yep.
But if they're just running their produce under the sink water, and just giving it a quick rinse, that may be not such a good idea.
Right.
And I mean, I think there's definitely some solutions. I know like baking soda, you can
Oh,
incorporate
yeah.
that, and vinegar and things like that to help clean your produce.
I can go over what I do for my produce now if
Go for it. Yeah.
okay, cool. So I call it the Rogers Hood soak. So it's 2 cups of vinegar, a half of a lime, 2 tablespoons of Baja Gold sea salt, which is a biohack because you're actually remineralizing your produce, and then 1 gallon of distilled or filtered water. I let that soak for 5 to 10 minutes. Then I rinse it with distilled or filtered water. I have a lot of water filters in my house. And then I actually use a Therasage ozone bubbler machine because ozone actually goes through and assists even more with bacteria and pesticides that soak won't remove, but it will. It makes
Wow.
it
And
alkaline.
well, how much produce are you using in all that?
Usually it'll be like, like a thing of grapes and maybe like 2 cucumbers and a few carrots, right? So I get like a pretty big Tupperware and I soak it in there and then I rinse it. And you can use that twice if you want to, that soak, but that's what we do because
Okay.
we are really conscientious. We're eating for nutrients and I don't want to recontaminate myself when I'm,
Right.
you know, it's really
Well,
gross some of the stuff that's come out of it.
I'm just sorry. Maybe I missed it. How long are you soaking this?
Around 5 to 10 minutes, and then I rinse it
Okay.
again, and then I use the Therasage. So I do a 2-step. It takes me about a
Okay.
half an hour to clean my produce.
Okay. Hey, you know what? Half an hour
Mhm.
um, versus, days,
Years.
weeks, years of parasites. Yeah. Um, okay. I know we kind of like got off track a little bit
Yeah.
because we were talking about the certain foods
Right.
that were maybe more susceptible to parasites or that we should be avoiding. So obviously nothing raw, no raw milk. Even like raw eggs, going back to that, I don't think people realize that there's raw eggs in eggnog, mayonnaise, hollandaise sauce, like different things. Maybe they're, tempered or there's some heat there, but you have to think about that too. It's
Yeah.
not just the egg, but like other components that it's in.
Mhm.
What about pork? Because my husband and I, we
Mhm.
don't eat pork for different reasons. One reason is parasites. What do you
Mhm.
think about that?
Yeah, pork's the worst. Pork's the worst. They are not clean animals, and they stay within their everything stays within the pig,
Yeah.
so they don't
They
have
don't
any.
have sweat glands or
Right.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're the worst, and I recommend just staying completely away from pork.
No pork. We don't miss it at all. I can't remember the last time we ate pork. And we don't miss it. We're not big bacon eaters either.
Mhm.
I know people are like, but what about bacon?
Well, there's turkey bacon now,
There's
right?
turkey bacon.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. And I think too is because pork, they only or pork or pigs only have one stomach, where cows have 3 stomachs or 4 stomachs. I can't remember. They have multiple stomachs,
Yeah.
and so it goes through a lot of filters
Yeah.
from what the cow eats. Obviously, you would want grass fed, but like a pig, not only are they eating just like garbage, but they have one stomach, so they only have one stomach, not multiple ones to filter through um, what they're eating. And so I think
Mhm.
that's a huge thing just to point out.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Um, yeah, it's really interesting. So, okay, so we've got the foods down. Um, we talked, and then we went off track for a while because I
That
know we
happens
were
with
also
me.
we were also talking about what are ways we can get parasites. So we
Right.
obviously uncooked, unsanitary food, some animals. We talked about water,
Mhm.
contaminated water. What about bug bites?
You can get that is like a different type of parasite you can get with a bug bite. I've never really talked about that actually. I know I probably got babesia from a bug bite. I have Lyme from a tick bite, and then I have babesia as well. So I got bit by a buffalo fly. So I mean, it's very, very possible. I've just really never I should research it more. Actually, that's what I'm gonna do this week. I'm gonna look into more of, like, other bug bites, and because I normally say, like, walking barefoot, which, it's all kind of a relative thing. I mean, they all do have parasites. You can get whipworm or a tapeworm from a bug. I'm like trying to dig into my brain because I watched Dr. Oz. He talks a lot about this. Dr. Oz, Joe Rogan, like they all do talk a lot about this.
I mean, everyone now, we're all grounding,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, shoot.
Yep.
I don't want this podcast. I definitely want this to be an empowering podcast. I don't want it to be an all doom and gloom. So we have the
Right.
tools
I'm going to
to
tell you
help
how you
you.
can fix the grounding thing because I do talk about when you're walking outside barefoot or you're walking in an area, when you're wanting to ground, you just want to get an area that you constantly try and keep it as clean as possible. Do some diatomaceous earth there, keep it in like a fenced out area. Don't let your dog go to the bathroom there. Really be conscientious of other animals like raccoons, cats, if they're going to the bathroom in that area. So it's not a doom and gloom, but it is, you need to be your own advocate and you need to make sure that you are looking out for what could potentially come into your feet because we have pores. We have 125,000 pores in each of our feet. And so it's really easy to walk barefoot out in the sand. And that's why they don't like dogs on the beaches because dogs go to the bathroom and then you walk and then you can catch what the dog went to the bathroom in the sand.
Wow. Okay. So what's worse, cats or dogs?
Well, I'm going to say dogs. Cats have the toxoplasmosis gondii, some cats, not all cats. So there's toxoplasmosis that the cats have, and then dogs can pick up a lot more parasites than cats can.
I want to get your parasite cleanse. Like I don't,
Oh, I
I
thought
don't
you
have
had it. I will
no,
make sure you have it.
no, okay. Yeah, I want to get it. I don't have parasites, hopefully, I don't have any symptoms, but I'm like, shoot, let's just get some. We literally just got 2 dogs like 3 weeks ago.
Have they been dewormed?
They have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Consecutively, like a couple of times a year?
Well, like we just got them, so they're
Okay.
puppies. So this is like a whole new
Yeah,
thing.
it's a whole new thing. It's so good to
Um,
know this right when you get the dog because you get into the habit of it. And you should be doing this 3 to 4 times a year. Other
okay, then
countries like Mexico cleanse twice a year, and they just know that this is an issue. Jamaica does it once a month. So other countries know this is an issue. And so when you get an animal, especially 2 animals, and then they've been around other animals and they've been dewormed, it is a good practice just to keep you all on the same time frames, right? Everyone in the house should deworm. Your dog should deworm.
I'm like freaking out,
Don't
Kim.
freak out.
Okay.
Don't freak out,
I'm
Bethany.
like, no, I just got these dogs. And
No,
like,
it's so
I
good.
like to like blame my husband. I'm like, well, he wanted them, but he wanted the bigger one. I wanted the smaller one. But
I
it's
mean,
not a bad thing to have dogs, right? I know a lot of people
no,
have
it's
dogs.
such a good thing. This is empowering to know that you can avoid and be proactive.
I'm all sweating beads right now. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So, can we talk about some common symptoms if you have parasites?
Mhm.
Because I feel like some of them are a little bit in the gray area because
Mhm.
they also you could not have parasites and still have these symptoms. So it's so
Right.
confusing.
Well, it's about, again, being proactive and just knowing that you can go in and do a cleanse and see if that could be it. Right. So for me, that was it. That was one of my root causes. It wasn't my whole issue, but it was one of them. So why not like check that off the list? If you have insomnia because they wake up around 7 p.m. and then they like to eat. So that means if you're eating late at night, if you're craving
Oh,
sugar,
I can't
if
even
you're
like listen.
craving salt, those are really big indications if you're grinding your teeth and if you're drooling. And though that one was kind of a shocking one for me because I started drooling one night and then I went and I passed a worm. I'm like, oh, okay, well, they're just hijacking our nervous system. They're hijacking our lymphatic system. And so all we really need to do is just be proactive. That's really what this is all about so that you're listening to this and you're not freaking out because it's really just about taking your own health in your hands because no one else is gonna. No one else
It's
is gonna
true.
help
It's
you.
true. It's very empowering for sure.
Yeah.
Because especially if you've been suffering for a long time and you're looking for answers, like this could be your answer.
Yeah.
And I don't see a downside of doing a parasite
None.
cleanse.
Zero downside. because of the way I developed the Parafy kit, you're going to feel better, even taking it prophylactically. If I am going out and I'm eating questionably, I'm traveling right now, so I'm eating questionably, I will take it prior to eating because I don't want them to stay in my body. I want to make my body as inhospitable as possible so that if for some reason I ate one, it would just pass right on through and it would not make a home in my body. I do not need anything else living rent free in my body. You know,
Okay. So we talked about teeth grinding,
Mhm.
insomnia. We already talked about weight loss and weight gain. What are some
Skin
other
issues.
common symptoms?
Skin issues. I have great skin, and my skin started to decline. I couldn't get rid of these certain sores. So that's kind of what made me investigate too what else was going on. I couldn't lose weight and my skin was a wreck. And I'm like, gosh, why? Like, what's causing all of this?
That was
Um,
something that I noticed when we first started talking, like before the interview. I was looking at your skin. I didn't even comment on it, but I was like, dang, she has good skin.
Yeah, really have taken care of my skin over my lifetime. So when something is disrupted like that and you are on a normal path and then all of a sudden it gets thrown off, something's gone on, something's been activated in your body. And so I think the misconception about parasites is that they're found only in your gut, but they're actually found in your muscle, your tissue, and your blood. So they're not just in your gut. There are some small intestinal worms. Roundworm can be in there, tapeworm, but they also burrow into your body. And if you think about how we're eating other animals, right? We're eating their body, we're eating their meat, it's in there. It's the same with us humans. So I think that we've kind of gotten off like, oh, there's no way that that could happen. But in all honesty, we're just in this 100 years. They've been around for thousands of years and they'll be around longer than us because they're stealthy and they're smart and they love to not be detected. And we don't
Wow.
have good testing, which is really a big thing for me
That's
right
pretty
now.
sucky. Yeah,
It
for
is.
sure.
It is. Why don't we? It's like between mold and parasites, I would be decades healthier if I had had the opportunity to test for parasites and mold because I have them both in my body and have had them for quite a while from what I've looked at now, the testing that I've done now, but it's expensive and it's still not fully accurate.
Well, and that's the thing too. So many people can't
I
afford all
know.
of these tests, and what they can afford is through their insurance, which, like you mentioned, does a
Doesn't
horrible
cover it.
job. Yeah.
Mhm. Everything
So,
I've done is out of pocket, and I've done it specifically for myself, but also to talk about it so that I can have somewhat of a general place to send people when they listen to my podcast and they go and listen to my videos, because why would you wanna talk about something if you don't have some sort of a solution? And if you can't go to your doctor and be believed, it's not because they don't believe you necessarily. They just don't know and they're not willing to go and look. I mean, I've been doing this for 4 years and I can rattle so much off, but before I started doing this, it wasn't like this was something that I really studied. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, and people, like, if you go to the doctor and you say you think you have a parasite, they label you as like a crazy person.
Right. Yep.
And like, then that's on your chart forever. And like, let's give you
Forever.
some meds for, like whatever, anxiety, which could be a symptom
Mhm.
of parasites, anxiety, brain fog,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
What about fatigue, or like not just fatigue, but like what about the inability to work out? Like
Like,
if you start to work out and you like get shaky and you're like, oh, I can't work out. Is that like completely different or no?
I mean, it can be because you don't have the nutrients and the energy and you've disrupted them. Anytime they're disrupted, anytime they start to feel fear, they go in and they drop their eggs, they drop the toxins, they drop the heavy metals, they drop the bacteria, they pee and poop in our bodies. So if you have a headache, that's really a big indication if you're fasting and you get a headache.
Fasting. Can fasting help? Because you're
Yes.
technically starving. I mean, you are starving yourself, but you're starving off the parasites too.
Yes. Fasting, enemas, colonics, because it's going in there and they are in our gut, but they're not just in our gut. So, but you can go in and you're disrupting their home, you're aggravating them. And so that's why we put in metal flush and in the Parafine kit, because they're dropping heavy metals. So you need to go in and remove those heavy metals that they're dumping, or it's just going to get reabsorbed back into your body, creating more and more issues.
Right. So you do need a binder.
Yes. So that's why
Okay.
we did 3 tinctures and a binder for our kit. And it's like $100 so that you could go in and have the correct, appropriate parasite cleanse. You need heavy metal detox. You need candida. You need to get rid of parasites, and you need to bind all of it. And you need to know what order and how to do it all.
Well, I love that you lay all of that out for us. And you did mention some enemas too. Should
Mhm.
we be doing enemas along with the protocol?
Yes, you should do them before, after, during, anything that'll open up your pathway, anything that will keep that pathway clear, anything that will assist your liver support, help drainage. Because the more you keep your body peeing, pooping, and perspiring, call it the 3 Ps, the more you continue to do that, the faster your cleanse will be, the better it will be, the less die-offs you'll have. And die-offs are like headaches, flu-like symptoms, skin problems, bloating, constipation. All of the things you're trying to get rid of can be considered a die-off. And so as you're clearing everything out, you want to make sure you're opening everything up as well.
Right. So because I know sometimes too, people are like, man, I'm doing this parasite cleanse. And I just feel worse. So then they
Hmm.
stop. But when
Right,
they're feeling worse, that could be they actually could be getting better. Those are just die-off
right.
symptoms.
Correct. And that's why I did the way I did the Parafite kit. Because when I was doing it, I realized a bad cleanse is like a bad trip. You don't want to do it anymore, but you know you need to. And it's uncomfortable. I had them coming out of my skin. My husband had them coming out of his skin. I did a fulvic, they swam out of my feet. Like, there's so many things that while it was happening, if I wasn't probably on record, like if I wasn't on TikTok doing it, I might have quit just because it was so intense. So while I was doing my own intense parasite cleanse, I stopped and I thought, okay, so these are all frequencies. Everything's a frequency. So the parasites have their own frequency, mold has its own frequency, the herbs have their own frequency. So what do I need to do to make my cleanse a lot better? And my first cleanse was terrible. My second cleanse was a little better because I learned about binders. And then I learned that you should remove the heavy metals. And that was a little bit more of my reaction than just them dying off. And then I got candida while I was doing this because I hadn't add in a frequency herb that helped with candida. So now I'm like spending 8 hours a day talking about 4 products that weren't mine. And I'm like telling everyone what they need to do. And it's very expensive. I think it was around $250 to do all of these products. And I was selling these companies out. So some of the products weren't available to do it all. People were just doing it randomly.
You have your own products now?
Yeah, I have my own
Okay.
company. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's called
Yeah.
Rogers Hood, and we make parasite cleanse called the Parafy. We have a mold cleanse called Molies. We have the lymphatic kit, which launches on May 15th, and it's the lymph, so it'll help open up that pathway. It will help with some inflammation. It's 3 tinctures in a binder, just like all of my other kits. I've kept them all the same. So it's the same regimen through whichever one you choose to do. You can take the lymph kit prior to the parasite cleanse, during the parasite cleanse, and after the parasite cleanse, because it helps with brain health and helps keep your lymphatic system moving and helps with inflammation, which is so important. And I created it because we need a lymphatic drainage kit somewhere in society so that we have some herbs that we can go in and assist with all of these things.
Kim, that's amazing.
Thank
Do you also sell enema kits?
We don't, but I really
Okay.
like Happy Bum Bean. They're one of the people that I
Happy Bum.
use. Uh-huh.
Oh,
They have a
Happy Bum.
kit.
I'm writing this down.
Oh, yeah, Happy Bum. They're
um,
amazing.
Now, would you recommend coffee enemas or just water enemas?
So I think when you're first starting, you should do a water enema to get used to it. But I've only ever done coffee enemas and maybe 2 water enemas. So I recommend all of it. I think that there's so many things with Happy Bum and they have videos, they're a kit. So you can just go and order one thing and they'll send it all to you. They have a lot of instructions that you can find on YouTube. Like they're really a great company.
Okay, I mean, are people, they're not like actually showing people like doing them.
Um,
Like that was kind of a joke, but
No, they do. They have a few where they show them and like, they're not exposing anything, but they show them laying on the bathroom floor and
do they sell the coffee that goes?
yes.
Okay, because it's very important that you're using
Yes.
like clean coffee if you're doing a coffee enema. Obviously
Yes.
purified and filtered water, but like the coffee has to be good too.
They have green coffee and it's specifically just for coffee enemas. And then they have these cool like bulbs that you can replenish your colon with if you're doing too much. You can go in and you can replenish it. They have the whole thing. I mean, it's kind of cool. Everything they have. They have like stuff that helps with your mood that you can
I'll
do
be
with
okay.
enemas.
I'm going to do my research. So in today, for those listening in today's show notes, I'll be sure to include the Happy Bum link. So just go to today's show notes, and I'll include that there, so you can just click it with one easy tap. And I'll also include Kim's protocol and where you can reach her and all of her good stuff and her company and all of the things. I love that you provide free resources, and I'm truly happy that. I mean, I'm sad that you had to experience all this, but I am very happy that through your pain, you are not only able to help others, but you are thriving and you've been able to make a business out of your past. And I think that's such amazing how you just turn that around. And, kudos to you. And I'm rooting for you.
Thanks. It's been a lot. Thank you for those kind words. It's been a lot, but I am thankful that I have this knowledge that I can share with people because it really is important to understand your body and to understand what could be going wrong. And it's lonely to be chronically ill. It's very lonely to be by yourself doing this.
Yeah. Well, I know, speaking from experience, I do want to touch a little bit on the psychological and mental side of it, because as you just mentioned, it's very overwhelming and you feel lonely and you feel lost. And going through it is like you need that emotional support.
Mhm.
Um, do you know any support groups that could help, with people going through this? Or if you don't, maybe you could start one.
Yeah, we have over 1 million followers. So we've got support groups on Facebook. You can go into the comments on my Instagram and we'll direct you over to all of the support groups. We have some private ones. We have a public one that's pretty, has like 150,000 followers. And then we have our own personal one that's a little less. I call it the Wild West because, everyone's in there talking about what they've used. And so it can get a little overwhelming. But really, I've started doing things like a bug out program where it's a small intimate group that I do Zoom calls with. So I'm really finding ways that support groups can assist you. And even just reaching out to my team is so helpful because you're not alone. And I think just having that one person, I remember at the beginning of my journey, I had 2 people that helped me and had me understand it. And it wasn't doctors. It was just random people that I met on TikTok. And I feel like that made the world of difference for me because I couldn't get a doctor to believe me. And I'm like, yo, I have an independent, positive lab. What do I do? And my doctor's like, yeah, well, just take some psyllium husk. And I'm like, what are you talking about here? Like, you have to
uh,
follow up with this stuff with people. So,
Doctor's advice. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's amazing because sometimes it's not the physical that's the worst, but it's the
right.
emotional that's the worst. And you feel like you have been labeled as a crazy lunatic, and you feel like, man, you feel lost. You feel like no one's believing you. And I just want to encourage anyone that's listening right now, reach out to Kim, social. I'll be sure to put all her handles in today's show notes as well. But why don't you just verbally share where people can find you?
You can find me on Mrs. Rogers Hood. That's MRSROGERSHOOD on all platforms except for IG. I'm Mrs. Rogers.hood. My website is rogershood.com. And you can find our email at the bottom, and you can email us anytime. You can go into my DMs. We answer every DM. We answer every comment. I have a team that helps me answer everything on TikTok, on Instagram, YouTube. I have a podcast. It's called What's Eating You with the letter U. And again, you can ask there. We answer every comment on my podcast. On my podcast, I talk about all of this and I go more in depth with modalities that you can use. So I've really tried to cover every square inch of social media to really make this something that you should at least do 3 to 4 times a year to make yourself feel a little bit better.
Oh, Kim, God bless you. God bless your products, and kudos to your husband for just being there and support. Like, I know we didn't even really talk about him, but I know you have had an amazing husband for him to quit his job and care for you while you're going through this. Like, if he's listening right now, I don't even know his name, but kudos to him, because that's a lot to take in. And, so, it sounds like you just have an amazing man. I'm just happy for you. Everyone, go check out Kim and go support her page, her products, and share this episode with your friends, family, someone you know that could benefit. And thank you so much, Kim, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Digest This. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review in your podcast app to let us know. If you're ever wondering how you can support me and this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family is the best way. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson and edited by Mike Fry. To check out more shows by my team, go to wellnessloud.com, and to email the show, message us at digestthispod@gmail.com. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical and mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or health team first.